From entire islands used as quarantine zones for the sick and dying to cursed abandoned villages, these are the forbidden ruins that historians are too afraid to explore. Take a look at these pictures right here. These are the abandoned British sea forts known as the Mansell Forts. Perched on stilts in the middle of the sea, these forts were designed to be self-sufficient and isolated, and you definitely get a sense of that isolation and confinement looking at them. There's a haunting appeal about this place. They were used during the Second World War and have now been left to rot, and their harsh conditions leave behind a very terrifying history. Exploring these abandoned sea forts is not for the faint of heart. Historians can only read about them now. As you can probably tell, they aren't the sturdiest, so they're a tad too dangerous to explore. The structures are unstable, the seas are also treacherous, and the weather can be unpredictable, so accessing these forts is illegal and extremely dangerous. But this, of course, makes them even more alluring to thrill seekers and urban explorers. Next, we have Davelis Cave. Davelis Cave has been associated with mystery and the paranormal for centuries. It was used by various religious groups throughout history, and there are numerous tales of strange occurrences within the depths of these caves. Although fascinating, it is very dangerous for historians to explore. The cave's intricate network of tunnels can easily lead to disorientation. In some areas, the airflow can be restricted as well, making it difficult to breathe. So imagine being confused and lost in this dark cave, and then all of a sudden you can't even breathe. Not ideal. Visitors often report strange occurrences here, like unexplained noises, cold spots where there shouldn't be, and feelings of being watched. Some visitors claim to have seen shadowy figures moving through the darkness, further adding to the cave's reputation as a haunted location. Pripyat, once a vibrant city in northern Ukraine, stands as a haunting testament to the Chernobyl nuclear disaster of 1986. It was designed to house the workers of the nearby Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Pripyat was a symbol of Soviet progress at the time, boasting modern architecture, schools, hospitals, and a bustling community. But on April 26, 1986, a catastrophic reactor explosion at the plant released this plume of radioactive material into the atmosphere, forcing the immediate evacuation of the city's then 49,000 residents. Today, Pripyat remains a ghost town, frozen in time. Its decaying apartment blocks, the schools, and even the amusement park, which was never even used, are now overgrown with vegetation, creating this surreal, eerie landscape. The Ferris wheel, intended to bring joy to children, now stands as a symbol of the city's abrupt demise. Radiation levels in the area are still elevated, making it a restricted zone, accessible only to authorized personnel, then tourists on guided tours. From Ukraine over to an island in Japan now, we have Hashima Island. The island was once a busy coal mining community, but it also served as a site of forced labor during World War II. Thousands of Korean and Chinese workers were brought to this island under harsh conditions and faced brutal treatment once they were there. Many died from accidents, disease, and malnutrition. In the 60s, as Japan shifted towards oil and gas, the demand for coal declined, and Hashima's mines became unprofitable. In 1974, the last residents were evacuated, leaving the island abandoned. The remains of the community still stand, its buildings now having fallen into disrepair. The decaying infrastructure, overgrown vegetation, and the eerie silence creates a sense of desolation and foreboding. Because of the dangerous conditions and the risk of accidents, access to Hashima Island was restricted for many years. Bhangarh Fort is up next. Bhangarh Fort is one of India's most infamous haunted, cursed sites. If historians want a chance at exploring this place, they can, just not at night. It's forbidden after dark. The Archaeological Survey of India has imposed a strict rule. No one is allowed to enter the fort after sunset. A sign at the entrance warns visitors about the curse and the dangers of staying after sunset. Well, that's not ominous at all. So what exactly is all the fuss about going here after dark? What is this curse? Well, legend has it that a powerful tantric coveted the beauty of a princess who lived within the fort. He tried to cast a spell on her using a love potion, but his plan was stopped by the princess, and in a fit of rage, the tantric cursed the entire city, dooming it to eternal desolation. So everyone up and left. Some versions of the story go that the curse was triggered when the shadow of a newly built structure fell in the tantric's meditation spot. The fort now stands completely abandoned, a silent reminder of this eerie tale. Its crumbling structures, overgrown vegetation, and eerie silence create a haunting atmosphere even in the daytime. Visitors often report strange things going on here: unexplained noises, sudden drops in temperature, and feelings of being watched. The Archaeological Survey of India has placed a sign at the entrance warning visitors not to stay after sunset, and really, you should probably listen to it if you're a believer in paranormal stuff, that is. Now we have Ross Island in the South Andaman district of India. This has become a ghost town, but at one time it was a British colonial settlement. The island has witnessed a series of misfortunes, including disease outbreaks, natural disasters, and war. These events have left their mark on the island, contributing to its eerie ambience. There's lots of local legends and folklore about the island, with many believing it to be haunted by the spirits of those who once lived and died here. Visitors often report strange occurrences, unexplained noises, feelings that there's someone else around when there isn't, and combined with the fact with just how this place looks, it's really cool with vines and everything starting to creep in, but it is definitely eerie. Access to some parts of the island are restricted, adding to its mystique and allure. The forbidden areas are shrouded in mystery, and they fuel speculation about the secrets that they may hold. In the LA suburb of Downey, you'll find a fenced-off, boarded-up area known as the Old LA County Poor Farm. This place has a history that dates back to 1887, when the LA County Board of Supervisors decided to create a facility for the homeless. They bought 124 acres of farmland near Downey, where they built homes and offices to house and support residents. The farm wasn't just a place to live, it was also a working farm. By 1910, it had expanded to 400 acres, growing crops and raising livestock, becoming self-sustaining. The idea was pretty forward-thinking, providing food for residents and selling the surplus for profit. We could use more places like this today, but like most things, it changed over time. In 1915, a new superintendent came in, and the Great Depression added its own set of problems, leading to a tent city being set up. During World War II, part of the farm then became an army base. By the 50s, the farm aspect was abandoned in favor of turning it into a hospital. By the 80s, the hospital moved across the street, leaving the poor farm empty and forgotten. And today, this site is completely off limits without special permits, surrounded by no trespassing signs and barbed wire. But in 2006, Marines were using the area for a training exercise when they came across a freezer. They decided to take a look inside and found that it was filled with mummified body parts. Moving on to Poveglia Island. Access to Poveglia Island is restricted. In the 20th century, Poveglia's already sinister reputation deepened when it was converted into a mental asylum. The asylum was notorious for its brutal treatments, including lobotomies and other experimental procedures. Patients were subjected to horrific conditions here, and many met tragic ends. But like I said, the island was already ominous itself. It had served as a quarantine station, plague victims during the 18th century. Countless individuals were brought to the island to die. Their remains were then buried in mass graves. Today, the island remains abandoned, its decaying buildings and eerie atmosphere adding to its haunting allure. Local legends and folklore surround it now, with many believing the island to be haunted by the spirits of those who suffered and died there.